In September, I was elk hunting in Colorado. I had a muzzleloader cow tag. I was sitting on the side of this hill and I had this cow come out just right in front of me. It kind of caught me off guard. I didn't hear it coming, and it came out probably at maybe 15 yards away. So I reached down and got my gun, pulled it up to shoot. Of course, it saw me and it took off, and it probably ran maybe 20, 30 more yards and stopped maybe around 40 yards or so. I pulled up to shoot and the cap popped, or the primer popped, but the gun didn't go off. So in this video, I want to show you a couple of things that I think caused the problem and what I hopefully can do to prevent that from happening or fix my problem. I'm here in Arkansas, and before I went, I shot this gun 3 times to make sure it would fire, make sure my sights were on the way they should be. Everything was fine. It fired, no problems at all. Now in Colorado, you do have to use this loose powder. This granular Pyrex is what I was using. And again, when I was in Arkansas, I had no problems at all. So after I had that issue with the gun not firing, when I got back to camp, the first thing I did was pull this breech plug. So I'm going to pull it out and show you what it looks like. Now I do always put lubricant, or what I call bore butter, on these threads to make it easy to remove. And you can see what it looks like there. So the first thing I did was I pulled this out, made sure that was clean. You should be able to hold it up and see light going through. So when you see that light going through, you know that little hole is not obstructed. And I had this little tool here. I run that through both sides just to make sure, again, if there was any corrosion inside that small hole, that it would get knocked out. So I did that, put it back in, put a new cap on. It still would not ignite the fire, or not ignite the powder. And the primers I was using were these right here. Is the package open? As you can see, there's quite a few primers missing. And I don't shoot this gun just a whole lot of times each year. So that tells me that this box right here is a little older. Now I did have a newer box there, but honestly, I couldn't tell you how old this box is because I tend to buy things on sale at the end of the season. So I'll buy, primers just because they're on sale for cheap, and then keep them in storage. Now my powder, it was brand new. I'd bought it earlier in the year, and had just been opened this year. So my powder was new, but my primers were old. So I tried putting new primers in, and I still couldn't get that powder to fire. I poured the old powder out, put fresh powder in there. I still couldn't get it to fire. As I was working on this gun, trying to get it to fire, my Uncle Steve came up. Now he had a muzzleloader tag for a mule deer, so he let me try some of his powder. Again, I kept pulling this breech plug out, cleaning on this nipple, or cleaning on the little orifice. Couldn't get it to fire. So then I tried one of my uncle's primers, and it fired hot enough to get that powder to ignite and my gun would fire. So then I put more powder in there, used one of his primers, and it fired again. So one of my problems, I think, were these older primers. I really believe that maybe they're older, maybe they didn't burn as hot, and it wasn't burning quite hot enough to get that powder to ignite. Another issue that I think may have caused the problem is the higher altitude. I'm assuming that it didn't burn quite as hot when that primer popped. So that's probably why it would fire in Arkansas and not in Colorado, because of the higher altitude. I actually tried one of my older primers when I came back to Arkansas to unload it, and it fired just fine. Now the second problem I had, and I didn't realize this, my Uncle Steve, he told me about this, but this breech plug right here is a problem. I didn't realize it, but they make this breech plug right here, you can see how the end is flat. They make a separate breech plug that's designed to be used with this loose or granular powder. I got this here from, I think it was Midway USA online. This is a breech plug that's designed, it's for blackhorn and other granular propellants. You can see right there. These are the two breech plugs side by side. Obviously, this is the newer one right here. And this hole right here in the top where the primer goes, I don't know if you can really tell it from this camera, but I do believe it is slightly bigger on top. And this one, of course, is marked Blackhorn, so probably made for that Blackhorn. I think it's Blackhorn 209 powder. Now the bottom side of this breech plug is significantly different. That one there, you can see just how much bigger that hole is right there. Obviously that powder is going to get closer to where that primer is. Also got to wonder if when you pack the primer in, or when you pack your bullet in, if it may not pack quite as tight in that little hole. I'm not sure about that, but it would make me think that maybe the fire could get around the powder just a little bit better. But the design of these two breech plugs is significantly different. Now, I've muzzleloader hunted for years. I had not researched, I did not realize that there was a whole different breech plug for this loose Pyrodex powder. I wanted to make this video just to get this information out there. I'm sure there's other videos about that, but you'd have to, I guess, just be searching for that to come across the information. So based on my experience going to hunt in Colorado, I would make sure I had fresh primers and I would make sure I had the correct breech plug. Hopefully if you do those things, you won't have trouble with your muzzleloader firing in Colorado.